Let's face it, politics is an absolute joke. I'm Matt Richardson, and I've always suspected that literally anyone could do a better job of running the country than the clowns in Westminster. So I decided to put it to the test. Each week I sit down with a special guest who's suddenly and unexpectedly been elected Prime Minister and advise them on 3 policies they think will transform the country. Welcome to I Am Prime Minister. Once again, I'm delighted to introduce our brand new Prime Minister to the nation. Prior to the world of politics, she was an award-winning writer and stand-up. Her debut show had a sellout run at the Soho Theatre in 2022, and she's just finished touring her second show, This Is Life Cheeky Cheeky. But she's put all that behind her, now to concentrate on running the country. Prime Minister Chelsea Birkby, it's an honour to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you everybody who voted for me. And for those of you who didn't, it doesn't matter because I've won anyway.
And how does victory feel?
It feels incredible. I do feel really, really proud of myself. And I do understand this is a podcast, but I feel, really just proud. No one thought I was going to be Prime Minister, and here I am.
Look, I think you've quietly worked your way to the top by charming everybody with your great comedy, obviously. But your manner is sort of very calm and collected. Is that going to carry on in your premiership, or are you going to become some sort of despot?
I don't know why that idea's come to your mind. I don't know who put that in your head.
I'm just asking.
You're just asking. No, I don't intend on becoming a despot, but we have to keep all cards on the table. I think we have to see how things go.
Very good.
Yes. So in conclusion, no, so long as I don't want to.
Keep everything open. Now, we're going to go through some policies with you, and we're going to work out how best to tell the nation about what you want to do to the country. Can we hear your first policy, please?
Yes, we can. What I want to do and what I will do. Because we're getting it through. We're getting all of these laws through. The first one's quite a serious one. I want to regulate advertising. I know advertising causes people a lot of harm. And so I want to be clear that what I want to ban isn't like junk food ads or cigarette ads or arms ads, weaponry, that sort of standard stuff. What I want to ban is some more specific ways in which advertising functions. And so there are 3 things. I want to ban poetry in advertising. That's gone.
Lovely.
I want to have no alarm noises in adverts because people need to nap to adverts. It's one of the nation's most beloved activities. And finally, most importantly of all, actually, we need to ban all scary adverts and adverts for horror films after 9 p.m. because it's too scary.
Look, I'm a big fan of this. I think advertising is obviously regulated already. The poetry thing, I'm a big fan of. The tweeness of adverts has gotten out of hand.
Completely out of hand. Some, they can have their fun with it a little bit. Beans means Heinz. I'll allow that. That's a bit of fun.
That's okay, is it?
That's fine.
Are we talking about things like banking adverts where they say things like Britain, with the healers, with the feelers?
Exactly that. Even hearing that sent a shiver up my spine. But actually, you were really good at it.
Thank you. I do a lot of voiceover.
I'm afraid it's banned now.
Look, I'll just have to stick to the good ones. What is the advert that really sums this up for you? Is there one you can think of?
Yeah, it was I think this was a really long time ago, but I remember it because of how much hate it brought out in me. Oh my God, what if you're the voiceover person for it?
I don't think I would have been. Let's see.
It was the McDonald's one that was like, just passing by. It was like, it just was like for the, it had loads of internal rhymes, like they were trying to be Eminem, but like in a bad way. I think I wrote it down somewhere. It had stuff like the first in types and the lurking types and the like to lose their gherkin types were just passing by. And then it has all like, obviously it tries to then mention everybody of every class to appease, it's like, in a way that, it's just dreadful. Just really
It is
dreadful.
Really dreadful. I would call this the innocent smoothification of adverts, which is everything tries to be so pally with you when they're just trying to sell you something. Is that that's what your problem is?
No, actually, I don't mind it I don't mind a bit of kookiness, a bit of quirkiness.
Okay.
I think this is I feel like a lot of people that voted for me, they have to like some quirkiness and some kookiness. I like a bit of that.
Okay.
And innocent, hey, that's nice. They've got fruits in there. They're a sweet company. It matches.
Yeah, but I feel like there's so much about it. When on the back of the bottle it's like, if you want to pop in, our address is da-da-da. And I think, do you let people pop in?
And you would seem, if you did go in, you're like, hello, innocent, it's me, your friend Matt. I'm here to pop in and say hi. Sectioned, under arrest.
All that is gone. So no poetry. The alarm noises thing, I don't think I've ever heard that in an advert. Is something that you find because you listen to podcasts to sleep?
It's mostly on TV, actually. I think they have alarm noises in it to get your attention. They're in quite a few. Maybe not so much on podcasts, which is for the best. But you'll be listening to one to relax and get cozy, and then suddenly like alarm noise, and it's just like for a Snickers advert or something.
I think we should ban a lot of this. I'm big on board with this. I think most advertising is terrible. So what I hate about these adverts is a load of people would have sat around a table and really patted themselves on the back for coming up with these awful poems, or just going, guys, what we should do, guys, we should have an alarm sound. That'd be like really like grabbing attention. I absolutely despise it. I have some friends that work in advertising, and I moan at all the time about how awful they are at their jobs.
And how do they feel about that?
They think they're brilliant at their jobs, and they get paid a lot more money than I do to do them. Yeah, there's just this it's this kind of British tweeness that I think links into the poetry that I have a real issue with.
Yeah, I think it is when they try and make it seem like they're your friend, and actually it's this huge like conglomeration or something.
Even like the sportsman before, like a big game, it's like some sportsman doing a poem over some really emotional video of the sport. That can all go with this.
That can go. We can get rid of that too. But the This Girl Can adverts, they did inspire me. I feel like they're very easy to mock now.
What are those adverts?
They were adverts to inspire women to get into sport, and it's like, this girl can go for a 5K or something like that. I don't think they were... And I thought, okay, this girl can. And I got into sport for a while. But then I became a comedian, then you have to become more cynical. So I obviously deleted all of that from my Instagram. It's like, this girl does what she likes.
You can't be funny and do 5Ks. That is against the rules.
It's against the rules. And you can't... Do you think you can be funny and be that sincere?
No, so I have a real problem. I've got some friends who are getting quite successful, and they've gotten really like, guys, this is all because of you. Thank you so much, about their success. And I'm like, you've been grafting for 20 years. Just accept that it's you. This is all to do with you and your cynical plan for success. Yeah,
they're one step away from being like, just pop in and say hi to our innocent HQ.
Yeah, I do have a massive problem with these sorts of ads as well. They do really annoy me. And it's never for something good, a poem, is it?
No.
It's never advertising like sheds. It's always banking or fast food. It's something absolutely grim, and they're using like the kind of like loveliest, smoothest way of doing it.
Yeah, whereas if they'd have like Beans Beans Heinz, I don't know, I've discovered a real passion for that advertising phrase.
Are you into beans?
I work for Heinz. I'm here to sell beans. That's why I'm promoting on the podcast.
Okay, yeah. Other beans are available.
Yes, other beans are available.
We will take a Heinz sponsorship though, if that's what Chelsea gives us. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yes, because beans mean Heinz. But if McDonald's went for a fun one like McNuggets, get it down your gullet, then you'd be like, okay, that's fair enough. Whereas like it's when they try and aspire to make it seem like it's spoken word poetry and it's about like the issues.
And I think that, a bit more honesty in adverts might be a really good thing to tag onto this. So like McDonald's, when you're hungover or it's too late, and there's sandwiches are the other option. I think those kind of things. Like, let's be honest about when people use these rather than these inspirational, absolute awful kind of monologues.
Amen. Okay, I think that's true.
Obviously, like a lot of advertising doesn't really work anymore. Apparently only 32% of people said they pay attention to TV ads now. So actually, they might just get phased out anyway.
Only 32% of people pay attention to adverts. Yeah, but so now it's all like influencer marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, and they don't know how to rhyme. A lot of those, I don't think they know how to write.
Maybe preemptively we have to say no poetry though. No poetry.
From Molly May.
I would actually I would be up for that, actually.
So maybe we do this then. So no poetry, but influencers have to do poetry.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Not on telly, but on influence. Make them really work for their poo tea or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, this is the Britain I want to see.
And it's the Britain we can all get behind. So these kind of adverts are banned, but you're okay with other advertising, just not the tweeness or the alarms or anything horror-based. That's quite interesting. Do you get scared easily then, Prime Minister?
I don't want to get the word out there that I get scared easily. I'm a big, tough girl, Prime Minister. This girl can,
Yeah, this girl can.
I like horror films just in the daytime, After nighttime... Yeah. Once the sun goes down, I don't even like to think about the word scary or spooky or creepy. Sometimes I can't get to sleep if I've just thought of the word scary. It's
amazing, isn't it, how your bravery changes with the lights. Like, I remember years ago, I stayed in this hotel And I got there, and I was the only person staying that night up near Carlisle. And the guy went, "We've been on Most Haunted more than any other hotel in the country. Anyway, I'm not in the building. I live down the road. If you need me, give me a ring." And they locked me in, and I didn't sleep all night. And then it got to the morning, and I was like, rubbish. That's absolute nonsense. But I was terrified for every second I was in that building.
Yep. Nighttime scary time. So no adverts, and maybe
No
maybe
adverts.
no staying at that hotel.
I would say as well, like when I lived in London, I lived in a very old building and it was definitely haunted. And part of the reason of when I moved out, I went, "I'd like to live in a new build, please," is because nothing can haunt me.
No. I think that's a reasonable choice.
Yeah.
Have you seen a ghost?
So this is
You run a TV show. Is this?
No, I did do a ghost hunting show where we didn't see
Yeah.
ghosts. However, I remember going to Edinburgh for Hogmanay once and doing the ghost tour. And you know where the caves are? You know, just the tonic caves?
Yeah.
They take you all in there and then through some others that you don't see. And I remember being at the back of this group and I saw a figure come to the back in a hood and a cloak. And I felt really smug because I thought, oh, he's the guy employed to scare us all. And I've seen him and no one else has. They're all going to jump and I'm not going to jump. And then the guy doing the tour went, "Anyway, on we go with the tour." And we turned around and there was nobody there.
No.
So
No.
I felt like that wasn't great. Yeah, that made me feel weird.
Oh, that's giving me the heebie-jeebies, and it's not even 9 p.m.
It's not even 9 p.m. and you're the Prime Minister now. You know, there's plenty of ghosts in 10 Downing Street you're going to have to deal with. Liz Truss, I'm sure she'll
Yes.
have a ghost there one day.
And the ghosts from... So I've done both my shows at the Fringe at the Just the Tonic Caves.
Okay.
And I've died there a few times too, so you probably encountered my ghost.
So this is, look, I think this is a really good policy. I don't think anyone likes any of these adverts. I think the country as a whole sees through everything these companies are trying to do.
We know what you're up to.
We know what you're up to. Just tell us the truth. Tell us you're an evil banking company with a load of billionaires running it and you're giving money to grim causes. That's all we want to hear.
Yeah, just say that, and then it's like, but you probably want to get a Mars bar anyway.
Look, we all need banks and we all need grim food. Can we move on to your next policy, please, Prime Minister?
Yes, my next policy is that we are going to introduce a new day for the nation, and it's going to be National Existential Dread Day. So what's going to happen on National Existential Dread Day is that speakers are going to go to workplaces and schools and say, remind everybody that like you will die, and life is meaningless, and it's kind of a vast, indifferent universe. But you may as well know that, and then just do. What are you going to do about it? That's what we say, and then we invite everybody, children, workers, everybody, to stare into the void. They're invited to do that. It's mandatory, but we invite them to do that. And that's the day. It's every day. No, it's not every day. It's every year.
Once a year. What time of year are we going to do this? I think it's quite important that we do it on a day where it's not going to make people really question their lives for too long.
January 1st, I think.
January 1st, I think, is a bad idea, Prime Minister.
Okay.
You employ me to give you advice. This is a bad idea. We need to do it on like a day like today, It's sunny. It's lovely. We all think about death and then we can all enjoy the rest of the day. You can't have
not
that
just
day
death,
when
but
it's...
life and suffering. But I see what you mean. Okay, we'll have it in
You can't
June.
have it
We've
on the
just had that
1st of January because it gets dark at 3 and then, you'll be scared.
Okay, but then that helps people. I want to have everybody face reality, and then I think if they can face reality, then they can be really in touch with life and the human condition, and if they can face that and they can live alone, maybe they will do things like go to the cinema alone, and it will help GDP.
So, wait, right, I'm going to have to unpack this.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So we think that this is going to end up helping people long term, that they
Yes.
think about mortality and life and everything that's to do with it.
Meaninglessness, suffering, pain, despair.
Meaningless suffering and pain should definitely have been your election tagline. I mean, it
Then
basically
brackets
is.
Sponsored by Heinz.
Are you a conservative? Because that's what this feels like.
Oh goodness.
Because that is what they do. Don't they do meaningless suffering and pain?
No. Okay, right. I really need to clarify this. No, I'm very much not. I just think if we can get in touch with meaninglessness, suffering, and pain, then we can have a bit more fun, have a bit more empathy, and green policies. I'm really trying to signal my actual political views here.
Nothing matters, but we should be green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this something you think about a lot?
Yeah, I think about it a lot. I think definitely on New Year's Day as well. So maybe it's nice to just have more people kind of get on board with that.
Yeah,
too. Do you not think about it a lot?
It depends. I do go through phases. So I have a real thing about, I've gotten very guilty about how many miles I drive and how much travelling I do and things. And I feel like that is something I feel bad about and the meaning of that. But I do think there is nothing afterwards when we die. So I don't feel... No, you know what? This is a really interesting question that I didn't ever think I'd get so deep on this podcast. No, I don't think about it a lot. I just think there isn't. I genuinely, like you, I think there isn't much meaning to anything. So we should just enjoy ourselves, which is why I've really lived in the fast lane and my body is suffering.
Okay, I'm glad I've brought this out of you in your podcast.
Yeah,
let's have a cheery chat, and I'm like, no, see, this is what we're going to benefit from on National Existential Dread Day. It's going to be like, no, life is short, and you will die. But then, do you not find it inspiring? So it's like, okay, if you only live, okay, we've gone back to YOLO somehow. It's 2012, we've got YOLO, and this girl can. But no, if life is meaningless, then you have to find joy in the moment and connection with people.
So with this, what do you think? So as someone who feels like this, what benefits have you found that we can then pass on to the public?
I found that I think everybody faces despair at some point in their life, and I think it's better to just kind of own up to like that philosophically, to be like, maybe there is nothing beyond life, but that actually that's the antidote to it, that once you kind of embrace that, then you can like have a deeper engagement with joy and the human condition and the moment, and then feel like lighter and freer, and then somehow it connects to GDP. I can't remember how I argued that before.
Because people will spend more money. They don't need to save and sort of scrimp, and they'll spend their money on enjoying themselves.
Yeah, enjoying themselves, having special moments. I think you can tell when you've met people that have really like faced despair and hard times, but then they're fully on the other side of it, and I think they seem often like the happiest
Well, it's like
people.
when you do gigs, I suppose, as a stand-up, or when you were a stand-up Prime Minister, the people who've been through awful stuff. So I did a gig not that long ago, and there was a load of injured soldiers in, and all they wanted was to laugh at the darkest things you could say about them. And they came up in the interval and were like, you really need to take the mick out of the fact we have no legs and that our friend Dave died in a landmine incident. And you're like, no. But because they've been right at the edge of it, they've realised that if you don't laugh at it, what's the point?
Yeah, that's what our nation is going to be like after this day. It's going to be full of people saying, two jokes about that.
Do you think it's a British problem, this kind of like ignoring the fact that life is meaningless and also life is fleeting? I think death is a real issue for Brits to deal with.
Yes, I think it is a really British thing. I think we don't like to talk about. I do like to. Am I wearing any? Yeah, I nearly always wear some like skull rings. I think it's
amazing.
It's nice. It's that like, is it memento mori? I don't know how you pronounce it because it's Latin, but it's like remember we die. But that's actually supposed to be like a liberating thing. And I think I'm just going to say back in the day, because I don't know exactly which part of history, but when I think it was ancient Rome, but when people would win battles and stuff, they'd walk down and have this big parade, like, we did it, but there would be someone marching behind them saying, remember we die, remember we die. And it's not like, I think that's actually not depressing. It's just like everything ebbs and flows, and like I don't know, I'm getting quite deep now, but I think it's joyful,
Yeah, I totally agree.
That you're like, remember it will pass.
I do think that this might be a struggle to sell to the British public. I think the British public do not love this idea. I think this would be easy if you were, say, the President of France. They feel like the kind of country that's a bit more open to this sort of thing.
Yeah, they definitely, the existentialists, very much like, we die, whatever. Yeah, I see that. But I think we could maybe do it, actually, you've inspired me. Yeah. Maybe we use the troops to sell it. We say like, this is how our heroes feel, and we want to be more like them, the guys at Matt's gig. So hence we have National Existential Dread Day.
It is really hard at a gig when someone comes up and goes, can you make fun of my friend for not having any legs? And you're like, that's fine for you, but there's another 200 people here who will be really upset about the fact I've done that.
Do you think they would? Or do you think that was kind of the vibe of it? What did you do?
I didn't do it. So I was hosting. It was like a glee, I think. And they were just a group of like 4 lads, and they're like, "Oh, we're ex-soldiers. Why aren't you picking on us? We're at the front. 2 of us are in wheelchairs." And I go, because 2 of you, like, I don't want to. Even if you're laughing, the people at the back will be going, "Well, that's not fair. You shouldn't. They can't see their faces." It's a really tricky position to be in.
That's really tricky, especially emceeing as well. Like, you're there to get the party started, get everyone cheered
guys,
up.
Who's got no legs? It's not a fun start to anything when there's a hen do at the back.
I think I've also revealed too much about myself by being like, I have like strong opinions and I want to express my views, but I also just really want to please a crowd. And if I'm like, okay, that's what they're into, I'm like, you got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I could accidentally show up at a racist gig and be like, well, maybe I'll say the nasty words just to make them love me. I'm so needy. But that's why I'm not Prime Minister and you are. I think this is an important thing that we all need to do, this policy. A lot of people don't talk about this stuff, and having a day dedicated to it, for example, obviously in Mexico, they have the Day of the Dead, where death is very much a part of the culture, and remembering those who have died and remembering your own life and that life is fleeting. And we just don't do it here, and I think it's something we should do, and it would make us a better nation.
And you think teaching that in schools as well, that's going to be good? You think that's a hit?
I think every child, as part of this policy, should be given a pet at the age of 3, so it dies when they're 12.
Yeah,
and they learn about death.
I think that's kind of how Brits do it.
Because I remember I didn't have pets, so the first time someone died, it was a person, and it was hard.
That's really hard.
When you're 9 and someone dies, you're like, oh God, this is awful. But if a cat's been run over, you don't care so much. Life is already fleeting. We've already experienced this.
And this way, with the day, maybe you don't have to have any pets or people die for you to already understand death. Yeah.
Exactly. More talk about death, I think, is very important. That is the deepest policy I think any Prime Minister has ever come up with. So we're going to move on to your next policy to see if it's as deep. What is your third policy, please, Prime Minister?
And my third policy is beans. Beans. Bean signs.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
No, my third policy is, I think every year your work should have to pay for you on work time to do 40 hours of training. It could be anything, like not at all related to your job. They don't even have to ask, and it's not mandatory. You can take it if you want to. I think that it doesn't have to be related at all. Like it could be someone who's a copywriter can take up like hairdressing lessons, or it could be harp, or it could be Mandarin, and you can do different things it could be like a whole chunk of time. Like you could be like, I'm off for my 40 weeks and you go to like clown school, or it could be like guitar lessons every week. That's the policy.
I absolutely love this. I think this is brilliant, because I think there's so much no one understands. There's so much people don't understand about other professions, other things to do. And also, as an adult, learning something is so satisfying and character building. So I learned to ice skate a few years ago, and it's the best thing I've ever done. Like learning, not necessarily that it was ice skating, but as a kid or a teenager, I played guitar for a bit. I learned to do this, I learned to do that. I did magic, and I loved the learning. So learning to ice skate, the process was absolutely. I mean, you've got a problem with me learning magic, don't you?
No, not a problem. Not a problem. I just thought we should pause to let that land.
I used to do magic at kids' parties as a teenager.
Okay. Wow. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I see. Okay.
Comedy's the coolest thing I've ever done. So if you were to do this, what would you learn?
I would like to learn this year in my 40 hours about car stuff. I'd like to fix, for example, what the name of that course would be. I guess engineering? No, I don't know. Like
mechanics.
Mechanics. There we go. That's thank you. It is nice to learn as an adult.
Yeah.
This girl can, I would like to learn about that, because I do feel like that classic thing of I could kind of be taken, if I take my car in for an MOT, I have no idea what they're saying. It could be complete nonsense. And at the moment, I'm not proud of this, but it's like my dad fixes my car, or my boyfriend helps with my car. I don't think that's a good like that's a good position, and I would like to be able to, and I think I'm capable of it if I could learn it. But I love that about ice skating, and it's so was that for work?
It was
that you
for
did that?
I did dancing on ice a
Mm.
while back, but I never thought I would enjoy it. But it actually, the process of, like, when you get to a point where you achieve something that you've been building up to, or like you kind of finally crack something, it was levels of happiness I've not felt since I was a child. And also, I think there's so much in life. Like recently, talking about your dad and your boyfriend doing things for you, I had painted a room, and my dad came round and he went, "God, you've done a rubbish job." And I was like, no one ever taught. I'm trying. Like, I'm trying to do it. You never taught me, and you should have done. And I think there's a lot of things, especially us millennials, that we get people in to do, that if we had something like this, we could just then do, and we'd have more disposable income, and it would be better for us as people.
Yeah, I completely agree. And also, I think you should share a picture of the room you painted, and the audience
Yeah, I
could
will.
say.
I will.
Um,
Look, the cutting in is not good. I've gotten better. I've done a few more rooms
oh, but
since,
look,
and I'm
cutting
getting
in,
better.
you know the
Yeah,
lingo.
yeah, that's because of YouTube.
Yeah,
That's
YouTube
what
is teaching. Yeah,
YouTube teaches us everything.
everything.
Various governments have tried to do these skills revolutions over the years. There's been lots of different ones. If we can all remember, in COVID, her next job is in cyber. Do you remember
Yeah.
that, where they
Oh,
tried to
yeah.
get everyone to learn
Yes.
cyber security who worked in entertainment?
Yes, I do remember that, and I'm proud that before being Prime Minister, I worked in. No, I didn't. I never
No,
retrained. No,
no.
no. Hmm. I
Yeah,
would
I
like to
think
distance this policy from that a bit because it can be more, it could be like her next job is in car stuff, it doesn't have to, or her next interest is like, you're not, well, maybe you are you looking into becoming a professional ice skater, or it's now just a
no,
passion?
no.
No.
I wouldn't even say it's a passion. Like, my skates are very rusty. But I think this is important because I think a lot of issues in life are because people feel helpless. And there's a lot of things where, computers, for example, would be mine, where I just take it into a shop and go, can you do? I can't. Whereas it'd be so nice to be able to go, okay, I've got a vague sense of most of the things in my life. To become a jack of all trades would be such a lovely feeling. And I think people would feel better off. I think they would feel like they didn't have to go to places, and everyone would be happier. They'd feel more independent.
I think they really would. And it gives people more a sense of play or more skills or like fitness with ice skating or just creativity. I mean, we have an outlet for that, but I think, and that makes me so happy. And I think more people would love that if they took up like woodworking or pottery or something, just to get to try it out. And if you get a new one next year, like a whole new course, just try a bunch of things, even if you don't think they're for you.
I do also think that a lot of people aren't in the right field. So, for example, I think there's definitely the best comedian in the world is out there somewhere working in a totally different job. And
Yep.
they've never been able to experience it, so they haven't been able to become the greatest comic or the greatest musician. And I think this way, every year you get to try something else, and you could find your true calling in life.
Exactly. And there are some people that work in advertising that perhaps shouldn't work in advertising. They
Definitely not. None of them should. I think comedians should write all adverts because we can get to the point very quickly.
Yes. But I'm glad you like the policy. I think that what would you do? This year you get 40 hours.
What would I learn to do? That's such a good question. I think it would be something musical. So I've never been... I can play guitar a little bit, but not very well. And I think something like that, spend 40 hours learning that, would be a really satisfying thing, and something that I really admire in other people. So people who are musical, I think it's like a magic trick. I can't get my head around how they can do it. So that would be my first port of call.
I love that. And I think because it's on like work's time or work pay for it, people would do it just because it's like, oh, I may as well use up the time.
Absolutely. Like, when you have free time, no one wants to better themselves, do they?
No.
Because they're tired.
No, but you took up ice skating like as part of
I
this
will
work.
say though,
Yeah.
my other half, Sam, she, when she was working in fashion, she did a degree part-time in theology and philosophy, just because she was like, I think it'd be good for my brain.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was
To
so
work
cool.
in fashion, a theology degree. And I'd also think that existential dread day gets people thinking about philosophy, what they want to do. Maybe then they'll be like, I know what I want to do. Play harp.
Well, so what we should do is existential dread day and the day you decide what your thing is that year are the same day.
Yes.
So you get a day to sit there, think about it all, and then you decide how you want to further your life.
Then you enroll. Yeah.
The thing is, I think when we came into this, it felt like this, especially with the existential dread day, it wasn't necessarily a positive thing, but actually, I think when people really look inside, it will make the nation a happier place.
That's what I think so too. But you have to really go into it first.
You've got to hit rock bottom and build yourself back up.
Yes, that was my slogan.
Yep, I really think it's a good slogan. Prime Minister, these policies, I think, will genuinely make the country a better place. I think you're going to be a fantastic Prime Minister. If people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
They can go to chelseabirkby.com. That's always online. And I'm on Instagram at Chelsea Birkby, although I'm kind of thinking that maybe Instagram's hurting my mental health, but still follow me on there. Let's see how that pans out.
Let's see if Instagram leads to existential. I can't even say it. Let's see if Instagram leads to existential dread day.
Smashed
Prime
it.
Minister Chelsea Birkby, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
You've been listening to I Am Prime Minister, hosted by me, Matt Richardson, and produced by Matt Needer. If you've enjoyed the show, forward it to a friend, leave us a 5-star rating or review, or write to your MP. I Am Prime Minister is a Wild Ambitions production.